Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire arts and entertainment conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Jazz Appreciation Month. We'll be speaking to musicians Dan Heier and Jimmy Speirs about the newly formed Fellowship Jazz Center, as well as some upcoming events. Then we'll hear about an interestingly titled show coming up at Mighty Corson Art Players called Title of Show. Director Jesse Jensen and actor Alexandria Mathews tell us just how that title works. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show. Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party. Whatever you're drinking and whatever you're drinking it out of might very well be determined by where and when you're listening. My choice, as usual, a Jasper Newton Jack Daniels Diet Coke with a lime. For you, be it a cup of coffee, a glass of milk, a bottle of water, mug of beer, a cocktail, a glass of wine, or a flute of champagne, lift it high and toast to surviving Midwest weather. From fake springs to second winters and on down the line. We joke about, don't like the weather? Just stick around 5 minutes. Yet somehow we make it through with the meteorological promise of better days ahead. Cheers to you, Midwest weather survivors. Speaking of cheers, which just happens to rhyme with beers, say cheers with a beer or your favorite cocktail at Chasers, West 12th Street and Ellis Road. Make sure you grab some food while you're at it. And join me on Monday nights for Dave Holly Hour Trivia starting at 7. This coming Monday's theme is, well, not yet decided. Honorable mention. What over the past week made Dave laugh, guffaw, chuckle, chortle, giggle, smile, or maybe even shed a tear of joy? Well, it was definitely laughter. It had been a while since my love and I were able to take in some local comedy. Last Thursday night, we got to see Emily Wilson host, Tim Jasterom open, Alicia Rain feature, and Chris Fryer headline at Club 224 in Lucky's, downtown Sioux Falls. It was first time seeing comedy there, and we'll definitely be doing so more often. Great laughs and great vibes. Later we talk with director Jesse Jensen and actor Alexandria Mathews from Mighty Corson Art Players' upcoming Title of Show. In just a few minutes, we learn about the newly formed Fellowship Jazz Center with Dan Heier and Jimmy Speirs on the Dave Holly Hour.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory, which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
No matter what level of arts appreciation you have, you owe yourself a favor to take in the great works at Serendipity Studio and Gift Gallery in the Shriver Building. And congratulations, they just had their ribbon cutting for the Sioux Falls Chamber of Commerce. You know, so many great works for regional artists are there. If you have masterpieces of your own, Serendipity Studio would love to collaborate with you. Don't consider yourself an artist, but You'd fancy learning more? Check out their Facebook page to find out when they have classes. Serendipity Studio, located downtown Sioux Falls in the historic Shriver Building at 230 South Phillips Avenue on the second floor.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics inside Oscar's Mini Storage. We have thousands of classic vintage ceramic mold items and several new items too. TJS Ceramics offers classes, special open studio nights, and completed ready-to-purchase items. Bisque studio time or painting parties are available. Visit TJS Ceramics Studio in person today or email tjsceramics@gmail.com for more details.
For him, every day is a holly day. Here again, Dave Holly.
Welcome back, everyone. As per usual, I have to say it right up front. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment, and it's always a pleasure to have people back. Jimmy Speirs, we had him on I think the last time you were on, Jimmy, was in COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a Zoom studio to studio. And Dan Heier, we had you on as part of the Drumsticks Thanksgiving.
Yes.
One time.
With Al Bergen.
Yeah, and that was a fun time. But now the two of you have come together. You've played a lot together, obviously, throughout the years. But you are here because it's exciting also to talk about new things, new adventures. All right, so who came up with the Fellowship Jazz Center?
Well, I'll give credit to Daniel.
Okay.
We've both been thinking about this, and I think there's a clear need for it. But he's the one who first kind of said, you know what, we should do something. We need to create an organization to serve this need. So it was him that kind of kicked the can a bit, got us started.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So Dan, what is the Fellowship Jazz Center then? Let's start there, and then we'll go on.
Well, the Fellowship Jazz Center is basically, I would like to call it the jazz hub of the region here.
Okay.
And so that entails a few different things. One is like, first of all, just promoting jazz, live music here in the area, and then developing educational curriculums, and then as well as we want to present concerts as well.
All right. And first of all, happy Jazz Month. April being Jazz Month.
Yeah, you know what? I just realized that's right.
Yeah,
April 3rd. We're into it.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's why we launched this month too.
Yeah,
Jazz
perfect
Appreciation
timing.
Month.
Yeah, and then additionally, if I'm not mistaken, don't we have a big event coming up on the last Saturday of the month? Then
we do
a jazz crawl.
The jazz crawl. It's back.
Love these. Yeah, it's been a few years since we had
it. Has been.
All right, so looking forward to that. How many different venues and so forth will be involved?
So it'll be 5 venues, and it's all along the East Bank on 8th Street.
Okay.
And so we'll have our wine bar right next door, Crosstown Vinyl.
Yeah.
Next door to that, Monk's Ale House.
Uh-huh.
And then Highball, which is next door to that.
Oh, love the Highball.
And
so
then,
you can actually crawl. I mean,
exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
And then for the adventurous people, you can go across the street to Remedy Brewing Company.
A crawl walk. You have to use the crawl walk.
Well, you know, they do have the little signs up there on 8th, you know, that you have to stop by state law for pedestrians. They always show people walking, though. I don't know if they've ever shown anybody crawling.
Yeah, this could be the first.
We might have it. If nothing else, we need to promote it that way.
Yes.
We'll get somebody crawling and get some pictures of it. All right. So where can people find out about this then? I mean, besides just talking about it today, and we'll get in, you know, deeper as to what's going to take place, but where can people go? Are we going to have a Facebook page, things along that line? What's going on, Jim?
You know, we've been preparing for this. So as of April 1st, we have a Facebook page, Fellowship Jazz Center, and we also have a website that's up and running and fully populated with all of our events, and that is fellowshipjazzcenter.org. So just spell it out, .org. And we have an Instagram account, Fellowship Jazz Center. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah,
sorry,
you can just look that up. I think the handle might be just Fellowship Jazz.
Just Fellowship Jazz. Okay, that's why I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah, so we're on out there on the socials, and we have a live website. And when you go to our website, Dave, there is at the bottom of the page, or it probably pops up the first time you visit the site, is an email sign up form.
Excellent.
And we want people to sign up, get on our emailing list, and our plan is to send out email news about jazz happenings in the region.
Oh, love it. And let's talk a little bit about the region as well, because, Dan, you were saying you wanted to make this, kind of the hub in the region for jazz. And I think that that's vital right now because, my love and I recently went down to Omaha, and we just did it on a spur-of-the-moment thing. It's like, well, hey, let's go find some jazz. So I start looking up the 3 jazz clubs I knew about. They're all closed now. And it's like, oh, man. Well, luckily I had information that I could, contact a player named Matt Wallace. He's pretty good. Played with the Haig Brothers. You guys played with him before.
Yeah, I know Matt well.
And so we're there on Friday night, and I texted him. I said, hey, any place by chance that you might be playing on Saturday night? And within a minute, he sends me a picture of a poster for the Haig Brothers and about 7 different guys from Omaha playing 1 block away from our hotel. So that worked out well.
That's great. Where do you remember which club you went to? What was the name?
It was actually in a condominium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they played in the lobby area.
Oh, wow.
So we thought, are we going to get stuck buying a condo down here in Omaha?
Yeah.
But no, it was just an appreciation thing. And
that's great.
Yeah, had a great time. But, I guess what I'm getting at with that, Dan, is that, I don't want to have to sit there and go, oh, gosh, who do we know that plays jazz? Where could they be playing? I want to be able to go on a social media site and go, yeah, okay, well, looks like we're hitting 3 different places tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big part of it. So that way people just know where to look. I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and like when I was growing up in high school, you could get the physical newspaper of events, but now to like find like a source that has all the events it's all there, but you might have to look in all sorts of different spots. And so we hope to, at least in the jazz world, condense that down.
Well, how often have we been asked after a show, hey, when are you playing next? Where are you playing next?
Right.
And, for certain groups we can say very specifically, but other times it's hard to direct someone to a place where they can find that information. I think if I were a little bit more on top of things, I would have an email list myself or something to share, but I'm not quite that organized. So this is exciting. We can direct, whether it's a group we're playing with or any other jazz group in town. We can just tell folks, hey, if you want to hear live jazz, go to the Fellowship Jazz Center website, and you're going to see all the stuff happening in the area.
Well, and think about it, how many different groups there actually are when you've got, I remember the first time I met Ruben Rodriguez, he was in somebody's trio. Oh, go back the next week, he's in somebody else's trio. And then finally on the 3rd week, it was the Ruben Rodriguez trio.
Yeah.
But you guys are so interchangeable, and, that's one of the things that I personally love about jazz. It's my favorite to go see, especially live. I'm not a huge, got to go to a Garth Brooks concert amongst several thousand other people. I'd rather sit there amongst a few dozen people and enjoy the time sitting there and enjoy the music, and the improv of the music is what just floors me every time.
Yeah, the intimacy of the music and how it really is a dialogue with the audience. I mean, I think in this art form especially, the audience makes a big difference in how the band plays, what they play. And I think more than any other genre, I feel that, I've had the privilege of playing on a lot of stages with a lot of groups, and sometimes you do the same thing no matter who's out in the hall, and you do it to the best of your ability, and you want to get put on a good show for those folks, but it doesn't change a lot,
right?
Depending on who's there or how many are there. But with this art form, it will very much the audience will alter the mood and alter what we do, and there's that interaction, and so that's kind of gone down a bit of a rabbit hole there, but that's what is special about this music and the improv nature of it.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, I'll address the white elephant in the room, known as the fact that we no longer have a Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society. Are you hoping that this is kind of a jump start on something along that line?
I mean, I think there'll definitely be similar aspects. You know, I've been asked many times, are you bringing back Jazz Fest? And
Right, yeah.
That answer is no. At least not in that format. But
Unless you got a couple million to throw into the budget.
but yes, I mean, so I grew up as part of like a product of the Jazz and Blues Society and some of their educational offerings. And that was really, really important to me, whether it be like sort of like an all-city like high school group, you know, just a group of peers learning jazz and playing together and getting to meet people like that. And as well as one thing that was also important to me was I was able to usher some of those concerts and be exposed to live music, which was the cool part. And so just being able to offer in a similar way, like the chance for the people to know who's playing and when's playing and developing different educational outreach programs as well. So there will be some similarities in that regard.
That'll be good because it's needed. Yeah,
Yes.
you know, the jazz music never went away from us here in town, but I think people just kind of felt like, oh, we don't have any jazz anymore. It's like, no, you're going to the wrong spots. Follow me.
Yeah, follow Dave Hawley. Good idea. Everyone listening, follow him.
But in the meantime, speaking of jazz places, we're going to have another one in the near future, aren't we? Looking
Yep.
forward to that because Mr. Ricardo Terabelsi, that man knows how to put restaurants and clubs together, and very much looking forward to this. What do you guys think about that opportunity to have yet another venue?
It's going to be great. I mean, it's great that we're starting pretty much close to the same time, and I think it just shows that there's a need and a want for this. You know, people
Right.
are looking for this type of entertainment as well, and experience, and it'll give us a lot to promote as well. You
True.
know, and open up other doors to have perhaps present concerts as well.
Well, and not only that, but someone that will also promote it.
Absolutely.
You know, it's nice to have good venues to go to, but if you're the only one saying, hey, we're going to be playing here, you're going to get your typical. But everybody else wants to get, you know, new blood in and so forth. And, you know, Ricardo was the type that he'll run a great business regardless. So I'm looking
No doubt.
forward to seeing that, and not just from a personal standpoint, but also for you guys.
Well, we talk about the intimacy of the music
Yeah.
in that the special communication or dialogue that happens with the audience. Well, this new club will be the place for that.
Right.
I mean, it is going to be where you will feel you're right there with the band. It's going to have a very intimate feel, a listening room, as we've been calling it. Really, truly a place to go listen to music.
Yeah. Going back to the Jazz Crawl then, coming up on Saturday, I believe, 27th. All right. You mentioned there's going to be 5 different venues and, you know, all within great proximity, so you don't have to worry about spending money on a cab ride because we want you to be safe. Yeah, we call it a crawl and have fun and everything else, but at the same time, be reasonable in your head. So how many different groups are we going to have throughout the day?
So there'll be 5, starting between 6:30 and 8 is when the groups start.
Okay.
And they'll each play for about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the venue. And so we have at Highball, just walk down the street. Highball will have the Dalton Peterson Trio.
Okay.
And then at Monks, we'll have Joel Shotwell's group.
Ah.
And then at Crosstown Vinyl, we'll have Jesse Christian
Okay.
for your blues, jazz, rock fans there.
And late night booming guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then at our wine bar, we'll have the Fellowship Jazz Collective, which will consist of Brian Hannigan, Jeremy Haig, Jim Speirs, myself, and Drew Paulson on bass.
Ooh.
And then across the street at Remedy will be Eduardo Mendoza's group, El Trio del Sur.
Oh, my goodness. Load it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each group's like different. So when you go from event to event, you're going to hear something different and unique at each place.
All right. So is the Jazz Crawl then like one of the first official events of the Fellowship Jazz Center?
Yeah, it would be one of the first. So we have the first Wednesday of every month, we have the Jazz Jam session.
Which I still need to get to one of these times to sing.
To come sing Mac the Knife, right?
Come sing, yes, exactly. Happens to be tonight, Dave.
I know. But the Cubs are playing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you.
Major League Baseball's
season,
back in session. All right.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of our first kickoff event as well. And then the State Theater will be showing a jazz movie, Miles Ahead, on Thursday, April 18th, and I believe Saturday, April 20th.
Okay. A couple opportunities to see it then.
Yeah, so there'll be 2 opportunities to see that. And then we have the Jazz Crawl on the 27th. And then on International Jazz Day, April 30th, on Jazz Nightly, we're going to have 15 musicians playing live on the radio.
Wow. On public?
Yep.
SDPB.
Yeah.
Wow. Carl Gerke's show. He's just one of the great
I know it.
champions of jazz.
Yes, he is.
A big part of this endeavor, really.
Awesome. Well, so you got a lot of support that way. Are you looking for support financially then from sponsors, donors, I guess I should say in that regard then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for anyone, if you're interested and you believe in our mission, you can check that out on our website. There is a donate button up there as well. But if you ever want to talk, both Jim and I are available to talk, as well as our board members. We have a fantastic board as well.
Okay. Who's on that then?
So we have Katrina Lair-McKinney.
All right.
We have Andrew Reinartz.
Oh, yeah.
We have Ryan Staley, the Mitchell High School band director.
Yeah.
And then we have Bob Simpson.
Oh, my. Good people.
Yeah, great board.
Yeah.
Great board.
What are you hoping that this becomes? It sounds like you've been preparing for quite some time. You've got everything ready for social media. You've got events planned at this point. What's the dream?
Well, I think it's in the name partially. I mean, the long-term dream, I think, is for there to be an actual center, a place
a brick and mortar.
A physical space where we can host educational outreach. We can host open rehearsals. We can have, featured performances. Although we'll still, I imagine, no matter what, continue to work closely with Trio as kind of the jazz club in town. But I think we're excited about creating community around this music, and especially restarting and doing some new education initiatives.
Yeah.
Dan alluded to some of the programs that he was part of as a young musician, and I was part of some of those programs as a musician. Like one of the programs we presented was a kind of a jazz. We call it the Jazz Diversity Project. A lot of people in the state will know about this, but we'd go around and introduce this music to school assemblies. This was a program, the Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society, and we went all over the state. Right. I've seen more of South Dakota playing in that program, and I'm born and raised here, but I've seen more of the state doing that than any place, Dave. And so we'd like to restart something like that where we can take jazz into the schools and introduce it to young people, because it's not a art form that you'll necessarily find in pop culture the same as you would have maybe a generation ago. So it really does, we need to purposely introduce the music, I think, to the next generation. The Jazz Diversity Project played for over 65,000 South Dakota students over its tenure. Yeah. So there's a whole new generation that's out there now waiting to listen and learn about this art form. So we're excited about a lot of educational opportunities.
Excellent.
That this organization will start.
Are we possibly thinking jazz camp too?
Yeah, that's I believe a dream of ours is to probably find a way to partner with someone to offer that. Because kids love it.
Oh, I got to be part of that a couple of years ago. I'd taken a month off to donate my time full-time to Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues, and that was one of those spectacular camps I've ever seen in the way that it was run, in the talent. First of all, the instructors were, oh gosh, could we get a few good people on there? The instructors were top-notch, and then the kids that came into that thing, just amazing. And if you have never gone to see a great collective of the best jazz musicians in high schools in this town or area, you missed out on an event such as that. You know, their concert just blew everybody out of the water. And, you know, such professionalism, but yet the enjoyment of being young and knowing that you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I remember Brian Hannigan was one of the instructors, and he says, you know, these kids are playing some pretty difficult charts. Yeah, so we have a new generation then,
yes.
and when we're going to bolster that at the same time.
Well, and there's, you know, you look at that camp and how many students showed up to spend a week focused on this music. There's a real desire and a energy for that. We have great musicians and a lot of great music camps in South Dakota that have been in the region for many, many years. But we haven't consistently had a jazz camp. You know, for several years we did, and then it's now kind of on a bit of a pause. But we hope to see it come back, and I think Fellowship Jazz Center will be a partner and play a role in that.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing is, besides the talent and the students, we've got a lot of great band directors in the area.
We do. Yeah, we do.
No doubt about that. So I'm guessing that you will be reaching out to them as well.
Yes.
You know, because you've got this desire, and I have the feeling it won't take long for you to get going on a lot of educational programs, because I know that you guys already in many ways do that. And Dan, I'm still trying to get the granddaughter to come down this summer and take some lessons from you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
But so we've got a lot going on. What's the love of jazz for each of you?
That's a loaded question.
That's a big question.
But I think it's just, for me, I that discovery, especially like the first time, like it's still it was kind of like a turning point.
Yeah.
Right. For me, when I heard Art Blakey's Moanin', you know, and just like, you remember that feeling, you kind of encapsulate it, and it just sort of just like, it just really opened up a door for me, you know, a particular album did, that particular album. And just, it's become part of life, you know. I don't know what the heck I would do without it. And so it's just part of my routine, you know. I love I guess, you know, what became, like, thinking back and how we came up with the name. I love the fellowship, like, everyone that I play with in the area, whether it's JS Quintet or just all these different groups, and being able to hang out together and make music with the audience as well. You know, it's just become something that I enjoy so much, and just trying to keep spreading that.
Yeah. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was thinking about as a young kid and being drawn to the trumpet, you know, in elementary school, and knowing that that's the only instrument I wanted to play. And I think that at first was really rooted in, you know, the Star Wars and all the John Williams music and the sound of the trumpet. But it wasn't long after I started playing trumpet, you know, probably in middle school, I really vividly remember getting a tape of Doc Severinsen and the Tonight Show Band, and just being amazed and excited, and like, that's the trumpet I want to play.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as a middle school student, to be listening to Doc Severinsen, you know, was pretty unusual. I think I was one of the few who would jam out to Doc Severinsen, you know, on my tape deck. But then I remember, you know, so I love Doc Severinsen. My uncle bought me my first compact disc when they were brand new, of Maynard Ferguson and the Big Bop Nouveau Band, which featured Matt Wallace, who I now play with often. So that's an interesting connection. But it was when I went to college, and I first started, I think it was mostly in college, maybe even in high school, but I first heard Miles Davis, and I think that was a real, it really opened up everything for me. That it's still the same trumpet, B flat trumpet that Doc Severinsen or Maynard played, but wow, Miles, his voice, his intimacy, his just the tone and the way he phrased, and that was all new to me and so exciting. And that's also in college where I first was introduced to improvisation. And that was a whole new way to think about music, and that hooked me. And that's what I've wanted to do and love ever since.
Oh, my. You mentioned Doc Severinsen. One of my biggest thrills is I had front row seats at the Pavilion when he was here. And then there's, I can't find it even on YouTube, but one time when I was watching one of the old reruns of The Tonight Show, normally you'd hear Doc play, the intro, then they would have the in and out from the commercial break and so forth. But there was something going on that they needed to fill, and so Doc and the band played the Bee Gees' Nights on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Oh, fun.
And it is the coolest version I've ever heard, but I cannot find it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't heard that take. That's interesting.
Just amazing, and such quality. Well, what a great band overall, too. They were phenomenal.
He had one of the best bands.
Ed
Shaughnessy.
Yeah, great trip.
I got to meet him.
Oh, my.
Through a mutual friend up in Twin Cities, Dave Stanek. He was playing with Doc Severinsen for the pop show, the Christmas pop show with the symphony up there. And Ed needed a drum tech. And so he asked me if I was interested in doing it. And so I got to drum tech for him, and he was just a sweetheart of a gentleman.
Oh, my.
And just to see that drum set up close and in person was really cool. I'm like, this is a jazz drum set? Yeah, it looks like should be on a major rock tour.
Double bass drums.
Yeah, double bass, big toms, and all that. And so, but it was just so cool, like spending a little bit of time with him, and all of a sudden he just starts talking about his history, and playing in clubs in New York City, and, like the first to have not a double bass kit, but for the small clubs, he used 2 18-inch bass drums. And so and how he was the first person to do that. And he was sharing like all these just cool stories of on the road and playing with all these different people, and just that history and that knowledge. I mean, that was a guy that was there while it was happening.
Yeah. I call those times where you wish you had a microphone hidden and record the conversations.
Yeah, good point.
Those are great.
That's
but you got the memory of it, you got the recollection, so that's
he does have a memoir where he does share a lot of that stuff that he shared, so maybe he was writing it at the time. But it was cool just reading that little biography of his, because it sounded just like him talking.
Yeah. All right. So once again, let's tell people where they can find out more with the Fellowship Jazz Center.
Yeah, so we got the website, www.fellowshipjazzcenter.org.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Facebook page, and we have an Instagram page, and then on our website, you can sign up for our newsletter.
Right, and be aware of all the things going on here during Jazz Appreciation Month.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got the Jazz Crawl coming up, but don't forget that, every Wednesday, first Wednesday of every month, you can take in jazz down at our wine bar. So Jazz Crawl, and just the excitement.
Yeah.
I am excited not just for you guys, but for the whole community that appreciates jazz. That we're going to have a force again.
Yes.
There's going to be something you can rely on and go to find out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Thank
All right.
you
You've
so
both
much,
been,
Dave.
Oh, thank you guys. You've both been on before, so you've answered the question about, when you're not part of the entertainment scene, what do you like, and hobbies and stuff. But let's do something different, because this came up in a conversation recently. What would you have on your rider for your green room or dressing room? What odd things would you have to have?
This is a tougher question than I thought there, Dave.
Yeah, we're so used to just...
Hey, if you get a free beer where you're playing, right?
Or even a room, we have to change in the bathroom most of the time,
Yeah, we would like a green room.
That's
what we want.
First and foremost. Just give us a green room, someplace to hang our hat.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, weird.
If you had the opportunity, if you were a big national tour, and you were the star, Dan.
I was to start, this is going to be like my favorite flavors of kombucha.
Oh, all righty.
Yeah.
Which are what?
Well, I really like watermelon or like an elderberry type of flavor. So generally kind of like a melon or strawberry
Gotcha.
type flavor.
All right.
Jim
Speirs.
Great question. I would have to say, I'd have to say a big. This seems crazy, but like I would love to have an outdoor, like a patio where I could sit outside, and so I love to just get fresh air.
Yeah.
And, which that would mean we'd have to tour to someplace nice and warm in the summer or in the winter. I mean, but no, I like, oftentimes before a show, I'd like to go for walks or something if I'm out someplace, and I think being able to just kick your feet up, sit outside, have an iced tea, and take in some fresh air.
All right, fantastic. Mine, of course, would have to be a Jack Daniel's Diet Coke with a lime.
Yeah, well, we can do that.
We can hook that up.
That's not a problem.
All right, Dan Heier and Jimmy Speirs from the Fellowship Jazz Center. Thanks for joining us and being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment.
Comedy magician and hypnotist Jesse Moffat's right. He can't play the piano, but he can sure entertain crowds with his amazing magic and clever quips. His shows always make the participants the stars, especially when they've fallen asleep on stage. They've been hypnotized. Are you the party planner in your group? Then you owe it to your group to make the event magical, even if it puts you to sleep. Here's how.
For booking information, go to Jesse Moffat Entertainment on Facebook. That's JESSEMOFFITT. Or call 605-929-0964.
Check out the new ceramic studio in Sioux Falls, conveniently located off Kiwanis Avenue on 5th Street. TJS Ceramics, inside Oscar's Mini Storage. Bisque, studio time, painting parties, and finished items are available. Visit TJS Ceramic Studio in Sioux Falls today.
Once again, Dave Holly.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Oh, yes, it is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment. And, I always say, depending upon whether the guest that's going to be seated across the way is a returning guest or a first-time guest, I always say it's always a pleasure to have. And in this case, we have one of each. We have Mr. Jesse Jensen. How are you, sir?
Great. Thanks for having us, Dave.
You betcha. And also, from MCAP, title of show, we happen to have the lovely Alexandria Mathews. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Glad to... you get credit right away.
Mm-hmm.
Well. Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
And we're actually recording this a week before it's going to be on as a podcast. And so that means that it's the day before the opening of Cubs baseball. Jesse is as big a fan as I am.
There it is.
Had to have it.
It's underway. For a brand new day. Chicago, what do you say?
The Cubs are gonna win today.
This melody doesn't strike me as a Chicago song.
Well, you got to remember they're the north side, not the south side. Yeah.
That song was written by I think his name is Dave? Is Goodman? Dave Goodman, and he's just like this local.
Yeah.
He was this local folk artist in Chicago. Wrote that song, and I think posthumously they adopted it as their victory song.
Yeah.
So
fly the W.
And my kids grew up on that song. I
Yeah.
moved out to Chicago in 2006. My son was born in 2007. They were good those years, and we had a lot of dance parties.
Oh, excellent, excellent. But you're here to talk about everything that happens on the stage.
Yes, absolutely. We are we are doing Title of Show out in Corson.
Yeah, Mighty Corson Art Players.
At the Playhouse. And we're really excited. We're having a lot of fun in rehearsal, aren't we, Alex?
We certainly are. A lot of moving and singing going on.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So we got some singing in this one. So
Oh, yes.
we're covering the whole works. Any dance, too?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
It's a different kind of musical.
yes.
So
Well,
dance kind of the surprising moments of dance and,
Yes,
and
I
unconventional
agree.
moments of dance.
So Alexandria is in it, and Jesse, you are directing it.
Correct.
I knew of, ironically, the title, title of show. I had known about that, but I don't know much about the show itself. So give us, myself, and everybody else that's going, this title of the show, did they forget to put something in their promo?
Well, I think that's what they were going for. So title of show, in parentheses, is a show about 4 actors who are, well, 2 of them technically are considered the writers, but I would say all 4 of them contribute to the writing. It's about 4 actors writing a musical and performing that musical while they're writing it. So it's a form of meta theater. You get a lot of play within a play type of ideas.
Yeah.
There is it's not like something you've seen before. Likely, there is the audience is we're very aware. It's a very self-aware show. So the cast is aware of the audience. The audience is aware that they're in a theater watching a play. That these 4 people aren't they represent these characters, not necessarily becoming those characters, which allows for a lot of different rules in theater to be broken.
I was going to say, do we break the 4th wall?
Plenty of time. The 3rd one, too.
They're all coming down
Yep.
at MCAP. Watch
No
out.
rules.
Alexandria, tell us about the role that you have and what made you decide to be a part of this one?
I will be playing the role of Heidi. She's one of the actors. She's a little more experienced. She's been on Broadway a couple times, but mostly as an ensemble member or, a dance captain. So she's definitely aching to have her own starring role. And then, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Just in terms of the
What drew me
description
to
of it and what drew you to it.
Oh, gosh. Well, it was a new type of show I'd never heard of before. And when I heard out it was like a play within a play within a play, I thought that sounded hilarious.
Yeah.
And then I saw that Jesse was directing and our music director, Matt Wallachie, was involved.
That's right.
And then Lee Spencer, our choreographer. And so this was a big Young Frankenstein reunion.
Yes.
So I really wanted to work with them again.
Yeah.
So, and it was my first show with Corson. So.
I was going to say, I've seen you on stage at TPP and so forth, but so now up to MCAP.
Yeah.
Oh,
Moving
fun.
on up.
Had you been to shows there before?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I know.
Oh,
I'm a bad thespian.
Such a fun theater.
I love it.
Yes.
I love the
and
interior.
Now, our dear friend passed away, 9 months ago now, but
Right.
Do you carry on the tradition of the dressing room before going on stage?
Well, I'm still being introduced to all the traditions myself.
Okay.
Of course, we lost Brian Shipper,
Yeah.
a few months ago. And I didn't know Brian well, but it was more of a professional relationship when we would cross paths at shows or at theater get-togethers. And what I'll miss is just having that professional conversation about just ideas of theater, the
Exactly.
enthusiasm for theater that he had.
Did he
So,
ever? So you're unaware of what one of the traditions is?
You're going to have to.
I want to know what this is.
Yeah.
Have you gone down and
Oh, of course.
seen
I've
all
seen
the
it.
books? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the subject of a great number of very big books?
The
Limericks.
Limerick. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, the limerick
Before,
tradition.
yes,
I was
you have
actually,
to read a limerick
We had
before
a
you
sort
go
of
on stage.
informal wake for Brian.
Oh,
the night
perfect.
that he passed, or the day,
Yeah.
or at least the night that I found out that he passed.
Yeah.
Was introduced by the MCAP community with the limericks.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we toasted and shared limericks.
Yes, and see, then there is a tradition that Brian and I used to have before he passed, and if you're willing, right next door is Bottoms Up. Yeah, and we would go over there before the house opened, and we'd have a shot.
Well, then we should do that.
Yes. Yes.
We should
feel free to invite the actors.
You are more than welcome. Yeah.
We should share a limerick and take a shot.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Limericks and shots. And then what you need to do is see how many shots you're going to have between limericks. And then see where you are. Is giving the limericks.
Alex, that's going to be more of an after show.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second. We're not talking rumplements, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, we're talking about one of the sponsors of this show. They don't know that they are, but Jack Daniels. Or at least I'm supplied with it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it does come out of my paycheck too, doesn't it?
We'll make a Jack Fire.
That we can.
Yeah.
We can. All right. So, Jesse, what intrigued you about this show, and you went, "Ooh, I want to direct this one"?
Well, one is exactly what I said in my,
your type of gig.
Well, it's my type of gig, but as I said during my director's presentation that I like to give before we get into all the work with all my research and whatnot, but it brought me back to my roots, I suppose. I should say at least my post-college roots, moving out to Chicago.
Yeah.
Which we got a nice little intro there to Chicago culture. But, you know, when I was working in Chicago, there were all these little storefront theaters, right? Every neighborhood had at least one, if not two. Working on experimental stuff, and that's what this show is. It's an experimental piece of theater that just sort of became a hit. No one expected it to become a hit. You see that in the show. It's a show within the show. You get the history of the show while you're watching the show,
right?
So you're kind of following, you know, its genesis while you're falling in love with these four friends, and because Corson is that the Playhouse in Corson is exactly like that kind of theater, that 99 seat, maybe 80 seat theater where you can take more risks because you don't have all that overhead. And in Chicago, it has more of a playwriter and improv vibe, you know, and that's what this, even though this show is by New York writers and set in New York loosely, this when I was at the director's presentation, I said, there's no better venue for this show than in Corson. There's nothing in the. I've performed all over this state. I've done touring companies. I can't tell you how unique this theater is, how beloved this theater is. It's a theater person's theater.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And so it's 4 actors and a piano, and that's all you need for a night of 90 minutes, no intermission
on this one.
Entertainment.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the other thing that struck me about it is that seeing Matt Walk's name attached. Matt and I, because he was attached first, and Lee, we worked together on Young Frank, as Alex said. But Matt and I, when I moved to town in 2014, we went through this process. So this was written, the title of show was written for a new musical theater festival in New York, which is now defunct, but that's why that's what the motivation for writing it was. And then you get that in the show, you understand all that. But when Matt and I and a couple of my friends at Fishmongers Actors Theater,
that's right,
Chris Andrews, Patrick Pope.
Oh yeah.
We wanted to develop something for the Minnesota Fringe Festival, and Matt wanted to come along, and we had a whole process where we started just like these guys did. Started with an idea. I brought writers in. I remember I invited Andy Heller to contribute, a friend of mine, Steve Howe, which probably no one knows here, but it's kind of based out of Vermillion. And then Matt contributed. He wrote a piece, but we took all those pieces. It was basically Awkward Family Photos, a musical, and Matt contributed the music. And we brought it up to the Minnesota Fringe Festival, and we had that whole process. And after Brian passed, Matt and I actually sat around just chatting about like that. That was actually kind of a moment that brought Matt and I back together. We worked professionally before, but we hadn't sat down and talked about that moment. And he's like, I just want to do that again. And so I just was like, God, boy, I would really like to direct title the show. And then sure enough, I put that out in the ether, and Ryan Howe gave me a call, or maybe it was a text message, and he said, are you seriously interested? And I said, absolutely, 100%.
Oh man,
yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah,
this is going to be a fun show for me because I haven't seen it, and what you were describing, and then I do want to come back to experimental theater to talk a little bit more about that. But Alexandria, first of all, how many times before rehearsal starts or during rehearsal do you have to listen to Go Cubs Go?
I haven't done it yet.
He hasn't done it yet.
He hasn't.
No. He mentioned it last night, like, you got to listen to the Go Cubs Go song, and I was like,
Dave would bring it up.
All right.
Well, that means that tomorrow night's rehearsal, when I'm watching the ball game and you're rehearsing, and Jesse's checking his phone every 10 minutes, maybe, you better be singing that at some point.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
if I want to keep my part, I'd better learn that song.
Who else is in the cast? Who do we have?
We've got Jack Bledsoe playing Hunter. We've got Nathan Sparks playing Jeff. And then I can never pronounce Grace's
Grace's
Gilden.
Gilden, yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Grace.
Grace.
Oh, marvelous.
Grace will laugh at our pronunciations, I'm sure. She has a great sense of humor.
I hope so. I'm sorry, Grace. She plays Susan, who is just hilarious.
Yeah, I was in a premieres last year with Grace, and I tell you, the time in the dressing room was just outrageous before every show, and I can't repeat some of the things that she said, but just a ball of fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what I love about being I'm reunited with Grace from Young Frankenstein as well. So it's Jack Bledsoe's new to town, so he gets the excuse for not being auditioning for me. He's from Texas actually, and he's been working with Deb and Dan Workman's company. But he's also worked over at the Okoboji playhouse.
Oh, the summer?
Yeah, the summer playhouse. But Grace gives me a connection back to my Vermilion days. That's where I first directed a musical, Damn Yankees, in like 2000, must have been 5 or 6, and she was probably 3 years old. I don't know. It's a young cast. So I lived in Vermilion for 7 years because that's how long college took me. It's BFA in theater. No, my wife was in medical school, so I stuck around. She has a long history with VCT, Vermilion Community Theater, and that's where I directed my first musical. And so she's got me reconnected with at least the gossip of Vermilion.
Right. So you've got it all around then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And you've got Vermilion. Yep. You've got Corson.
Just need someone to get me some gossip on Aberdeen Community Theater. Those are my three.
Really? Okay.
Eastern South Dakota is my background.
Have you done Old Town?
I have not. I've not done Old Town yet.
Oh,
and I need to.
Yeah.
There are a few stages I have not either performed on or directed at.
That's one you should. Yeah. We're talking MCAP, but love all the theater that's around here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I keep trying to tell the board members down at Old Town, I said, you're advertising this all wrong. Don't be it, hey, here's how much a ticket is, and you've got this great play going on. You need to say, you want to have a great meal at the best restaurant in a small town in South Dakota. We'll throw in a play for free.
Yeah.
People tend to be more food motivated. So that would work.
I've always thought that. But anyway, I love MCAP, just the vibe of it. And, Brian and then John Bowe from Old Town were good friends and would help each other out many times. And I asked Brian one time, I said, well, what do you think that, John would say about MCAP? And he said, well, John would say MCAP is for theater people. And so when you brought that up, it's like, Where have I heard that before?
It is. It is.
Right.
It is the theater for theater people.
Well,
it really
and so let's go back quickly. Don't worry, Alexandria. We'll come back to you. Plenty of time.
I'm good.
She is more interesting.
And
I don't know that.
but I know that when you got to town,
yeah,
one of the things you were really interested in was the experimental theater.
Correct.
Because you had seen that in Chicago. And then Oliver Mays comes along, and right prior to that, we had Robin,
right?
Robin Byrne, and he put a fire under it, and Oliver went in there and stoked the fire, and we now have this wonderful process every year where local playwrights can submit basically a one act, or if you want to have more than one act, you're not going to get an intermission, and the whole thing's going to be an hour or less.
Yeah.
But it's such a great outlet for the people that we have here that are not just talented in being on stage or being behind stage, but creating the stage in terms of the story.
And supporting voices from here who are writing.
Yeah. And for those that haven't heard this before, I mean, every time it comes up, we try to explain it. But you have that process, and then from there you get down to the finalists, and then you have all the finalists' plays read back to back to back to back to back, depending on how many there are, in one day, and there's no blocking. It's just you can stand up and read your part, and so it's based on the play. And the other little caveat that I love about it, too, is the fact that you get one rehearsal beforehand. And, you may have had a read-through at one point, but to actually sit there and talk about it and then go just read, what a process that everybody has to sit there and go, oh, okay. Those three judges are sitting there. And then there's the feedback from the judges in front of the public as well. And I just am so intrigued by it that at some point I've got to write one.
Good. That's what
you should.
Yeah.
And the process is meant to inspire.
Right. And like you said, and we're supporting local people. We are supporting local arts. We have, nobody comes from out of town for this. It's locals that do everything,
Absolutely.
From the stage work and musical directing, if there is some, and so forth. It's all here. And it's just, it's one of my favorite things to attend now. And like I said, I was in one briefly last year.
You were in Mo Hurley's, right?
Yes.
In the theater at night.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking show. So good.
I know.
Oh.
That last scene when they're dancing, wow, love
Tearjerker.
that. Yep. And then her recognizing, it's real.
And Mo's great, right? I produced one of her radio plays during COVID.
Yes.
My son played the title character.
Yeah.
And she was my once again, Young Frankenstein. She was my assistant. We can sell a lot of tickets post.
I know.
Right now.
We keep plugging the show that already happened.
But as you said, when I moved to town, that was my goal. We had an established theater with the Playhouse. Of course, the Pavilion was bringing in these traveling shows, but what I wanted was a more personal touch, and I wanted shows written about this region by people from this region, and so I'm glad that we made our effort, and we kind of went our ways with Fishmongers as we had kids and whatnot. But I'm glad the Playhouse has picked that up, because it once again reminds me of a process that I went through with Chicago, where we did a very similar process. The only thing we added was our first round was improvisation. Oh. So it was an improvisational theater show with new scripts, and we never looked at them. So we would know how many characters there were. They would write the character names on the manila envelope, throw them on the floor, and then we would go up there, and then we would instantly start improvising those scenes. And then I would get some calls, like I've worked with you in rehearsal, like slow motion or add an accent or something like that, just for fun, to get us off to try to get us off balance a little bit. And then the audience would judge the best work that night. That would make it to the second round, table read, get judged, and then we'd produce two shows.
Excellent.
Fully. And we didn't produce them fully. We very minimally, actually, and that's what I'll give the Playhouse credit for, is such an effort to get a fully produced production is a luxury for any playwright in town. If you are a writer out there and you hear this, make sure you submit your work, because if you're selected, you're going to get the rare opportunity of getting a fully produced production,
Right, yeah.
at least close to a fully produced production. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Alexandria, what got you into theater? What sparked the interest to be on stage?
Well, I was a theater kid in high school.
Okay.
And what started that was when the movie Moulin Rouge came out.
Oh.
And I won't.
You went to Roosevelt, right?
No, I actually went
No,
to Brandon.
Brandon.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Roosevelt's a great school, though.
Yeah.
We give everybody props.
Yeah, everyone gets props. I saw Moulin Rouge, and I was like, "Oh, this exists." When you grew up in Brandon, South Dakota in the '90s, not a whole lot of people talking about musicals and that kind of thing. So
hadn't built a performing arts center yet.
No, they hadn't yet. That hadn't come out yet. So it opened my eyes, and I was immediately just like, I want to be a theater kid. And I went out for my first play, and my parents actually thought I was going to choke, so they sat in the aisle seat because they thought I was going to run off stage, because I was so shy and I'd never sung in front of people before, and it was a musical. And yeah, it just all started from there. And then
So you got to write that down.
That's
a scene.
That is
That's
a scene.
That could be in this show.
Yes.
It could be.
That could be entitled a show.
My parents in the aisle seat. She's gonna choke.
That's awesome.
What show was it?
It was a middle school play called Tied to the Tracks. It's like one of those shows that it's never on Broadway or anything. Like they must just like write it for schools or something like that.
Sure.
Like one of those shows. But it led to a really enjoyable time in school. And then after I graduated, I never pursued anything like that. I moved to California. I'm the only person who moved to LA who didn't pursue acting. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I got there and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna hang out and party and just do my thing. So it wasn't until I moved back after COVID, I came back to Sioux Falls and I saw the Premier Playhouse, and I think they were gonna do like Cabaret or something. Or no, it was a Christmas Carol. It was the first Christmas Carol they did, and I joined that, and I've been doing it ever since.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Very lucky.
So now you're making your way into MCAP, your debut there. What are you looking forward to most about that particular theater and what you think this play is going to bring?
I love how intimate it is. I love that I can see the audience. On some stages you can't see the audience, like the lights are up, you can't see anything. So this feels a little more personable, and I love that it breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
In this space, like Jesse said, the space is perfect. So I love that we're going to be, interacting a little bit with the audience. And what else? I love that we're not mic'd. I've never been in a show where I'm not mic'd. And so the space is small enough that you don't have to. So it really is just you projecting. It's raw, like it's all you've got. So I can't wait to perform in that space.
I will give you one piece of advice. Watch your forehead coming up the back steps.
No kidding.
I think I hit it 3 times in a show that I did over there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I think it's still there, actually. This was
right?
back
I'm glad
in
I'm just
November.
directing, because I'm 6 foot 2.
I know it.
Like,
Yeah, that'd be a problem for you.
A little height problem for Jesse.
Yeah, those stairs. Those stairs are no joke.
Well, see,
they don't
now
have a
you
lot
got
of
another storyline for Title of the show.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Watch out for the...
Actually,
Heidi
this show-
trips
this
down
show-
the stairs.
Yeah, there's no time to go downstairs in this show. These guys are
It's true.
This is a marathon production. These guys got to work out. This is there's not much rest. They're off stage. They have 4 actors, and it's
obviously
moves.
from the way that you've both described it. Then it sounds like first of all a bunch of improv in it.
Yes.
And so Jesse, as director, how much leeway did you give your actors?
I'll let Alex answer that.
Honestly, he gave us plenty. He was always like, the first couple times, let's just see what you want to do. Like, make it yours.
Yeah.
Do it different the both couple times. And then he would maybe add in some ideas after that. But it's been mostly like us actors, we've been able to decide what we want to do. And every now and then we just get a little guidance, like maybe be on this side of the stage, or I want 2 people sitting and 2 people standing is what Jesse will say. And that gets fun because then we have to start problem solving with each other without actually communicating verbally. So we just kind of use each other's cues, and we try to watch each other and listen to each other and move around in a way that's almost choreographed, but not quite.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to just incorporate. This show lends itself to being able to actually incorporate some actual improv games. Like there's like an improv game called Stand, Sit, Bend.
Oh, yes.
You know, and then if you had a fourth one, lay down. And so we did one scene. We really worked that way. Especially, I don't think you were there that night. It was awkward photo shoot, or were you there that night that I did?
I was not there that night.
There's a song called Awkward Photo Shoot.
Okay.
If you want to know what kind of show this is. And I was like, I don't really want, like, you guys, I want to see your choices, but then I just want to give you some physical challenges, because sometimes if you give a physical challenge, and what I like about sit, stand, bend, lay down, you're constantly having to stay connected to everyone else in the ensemble.
Right.
So whatever choice you're making, you're also connected to what the choice everyone else is making, and then that gets you out of your head too. So you're not thinking about how should I say this line, because it gets you off balanced. Bern Piven, if you like baseball references, Bern Piven was the founder of the Piven Theater Workshop, and that's where I did my educational work when I moved to Chicago, and they're one of the more most premier youth theater training centers in the country. Bern always said the reason why I'll throw some improv in, or what we call calls, like slow motion, double time,
right?
Things like that, is to get like a baseball player making on a slow dribbler down to third base, right? You don't really practice that. That's improvised, or any of those types of things that you usually get a regular ground ball and you know how to perform that, right? But if you get all of a sudden a weird spin off the bat and the ball comes down, and that moment of improvisation is beautiful, and it gets you out of your head. You just have to react
right
in baseball's form. Listen, I suppose. Yeah.
That's when the funniest moments happen too, is when you just throw a curveball. Baseball.
Yeah.
When you throw a curveball at somebody,
picking up Alex.
You'll be like, all right, now pretend you're modeling for Vogue. I remember you kind of used that reference once, and like you said, it does get you out of your head, because I'm in my head the whole time, and then those exercises get me out of it.
And this is the kind of show where being in your head is just the last thing you want.
No.
I preach listen, react, but all of a sudden you're starting. Am I listening? If you're thinking about listening, then you're not listening.
Exactly.
And so that's the trick. So this show, it really is. It's a more actor-driven show. I try to disappear a little more, and I'm just trying to challenge them mostly with my direction. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us the time frames and so forth. When do you open? What are the show times?
Absolutely.
How do we get tickets?
And because I'm terrible with dates and times, I'm going to make sure I pull it up on my phone.
Not a problem.
Smart.
We play we play Friday through Sunday, both weekends. We open April 19th, close on the 28th. Showtimes on Friday and Saturday are 7:30 p.m., Sunday at 2:30 p.m. You can order tickets at 605-854 1951. That's 605-854 and 1951. And then we're just right off the Brandon Corson exit off of 90. So if you're traveling east from Sioux Falls, if you take the Brandon exit, you just want to go left, and you'll be you'll be right at that beautiful little theater in no time. And then you can also go to mightycorson.com.
Fantastic. All right. Final questions for each of you. Jesse, I'll go with you first. No, I'm going to go with Alexandria first, because this is her first time being on the show.
Oh, God.
All right. So, when you are not part of the arts and entertainment world, what do you like to be entertained by?
Can it still be arts
Yes.
that I'm entertained by? Okay,
Yes.
because we have such a great theater scene here. We're so fortunate. I feel like every month I'm going to a show, and there's some months where there's 3 shows. We've got Oklahoma coming up for the Premier Playoffs. Sorry to plug someone else's show, Jesse. Other than
Ryan will be listening like, what? There's a lot of Premier Playoffs in here. I'm kidding. Ryan's great.
Other than that, I just love to enjoy everything Sioux Falls has to offer. I love going out to the new restaurants, new bars. I love enjoying the bike paths and Good Earth. A little bit of shopping, I got my shopping addiction. But yeah, that's mostly how I keep myself entertained. And then I love to go to local theater.
Yeah, all right. So any other hobbies besides shopping?
I'm trying to develop some more hobbies, to be honest. I was really proud when I started theater again. I was like, I finally have a hobby. And so now, on the off months when I'm not in a show, I need to come up with one.
There you go.
Yeah, so if anyone has any ideas, throw them my way.
All right. Jesse?
Yes.
You don't get those questions anymore because you've been on a couple times
Okay.
prior. So that means that we have, and we're already, we're into the 4th month now.
Of this podcast? Are we that long?
No, we're into 4.5 years on that thing. So I'm guessing if you had a resolution at the beginning of the year, it's probably broken. But are you a resolution person or are you a goal setter?
I would say that's an incredibly challenging question, Dave. A few years ago, I was really in an unhealthy position, struggling with my weight, and so I really conquered that over the last couple of years. So I kind of needed a new one, and my resolution was to make sure to go out, and now that my kids are a little bit older, to support as many shows as I can go see. Sometimes family traveling and kids' activities get in the way, but I've firmly established myself as I'm going to give out a shout out to Improv Falls. Love going to seeing their shows, and so I basically am saying the same thing as you, really.
All right. Well, by the way, speaking of the availability of so many things, 2 weekends ago, I was in the recording of Late Night Boomin' on Thursday night, and then Friday night we went to Glass Menagerie. Saturday night, Sense and Sensibility, and then on Sunday afternoon we drove over to Mitchell to go to Dakota Wesleyan to see Mike Richards and Devin Bassart in Head Over Heels.
That weekend was so busy with theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but so good.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because I co-host a variety show, and we do it once a quarter. But even when you're looking that far ahead, you sit there and go, okay, but, MCAP's got this, and we don't want to interfere. And you're sitting there looking at the theaters, and then you finally find a date, and then when that date comes around, all of a sudden you're going, we forgot about that, didn't we?
Yeah, there's always going to be another show.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So in terms of if you're somebody that produces a show or books shows and so forth, just remember, get out a dartboard and put all the dates up there and throw a dart.
Yeah, it's almost
and then run with it.
Maybe that's something we should do at your what is it? How are you branding your 3 Seasons room? What's it called?
The Firefly Oasis.
Well, that's what we should do. Like in the summer, get together, get a bunch of.
We got a 54-inch grill,
beer and brats, hamburgers, and just write out the schedule.
54-inch grill. Oh my gosh, what are we going to put on there? So many things.
Yes.
I'm sure there are vegetarian options as well.
Oh, yeah, we'll throw a little eggplant on there for
we'll
you
get
guys.
some eggplant.
Yeah.
Some eggplant with some good oil.
Just make sure you poke holes in it.
Yeah.
Or it'll explode.
And salted. Nice. Yeah.
I found that out the hard way.
Okay. And I'm thinking back to a picture you had on your Facebook about eggplant and...
Tell me, Alex, about your eggplant emojis.
I was at a farmer's market in San Francisco, and they had these eggplants arranged in a very strange way. So I took a picture of it, and I'm like, does this remind anyone of anything? It might have been a male body part.
And we're going to slice that up and put it on a grill and smoke it. All right. Oh, Jesse Jensen and Miss Alexandria Mathews, thank you so much, both, for taking time to be on the Dave Holly Hour, and best wishes, break legs, etc.
Thank you so much. Right. This was great.
All right. We'll be back.
Go Cubs.
Yeah, go Cubs, go. With more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony provide professional care for your hands and feet, whether you just want the basics or an extra special look with added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails. Call for an appointment. 605-334-1463.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XL Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation. 605-332-9235 or xlchiros.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XL Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
Hot? No. Cute? No. Ruggedly handsome? Yes. Once again, here's Dave Holly.
Thanks again to my great guests Dan Heier and Jimmy Speirs, and Jesse Jensen and Alexandria Mathews. As always, the biggest thank you goes to each of you that listen, download, share, and follow. Don't forget to follow Dave Holly Hour on Facebook and Instagram. For all 223 episodes, go online at davehollyhour.com. While you're on the site, use the search function to look up your favorite artists. If they've been on the show before, you can go back and listen anytime to those previous episodes. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Holly, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Holly Hour has been brought to you by TJS Ceramic Studio, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, XL Chiropractic, Quality Nails, Jesse Moffitt Entertainment, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. If you would like to contribute to the continued success of this podcast, simply buy Dave a cup of coffee. Go to davehollyhour.com and click on the coffee cup icon. Don't forget to stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. The Dave Holly Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.